everyone. Welcome to For His Name's Sake. We're glad that you've joined us, and if you're here for the first time, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about parenting in the Christian home, and we're going to begin by saying that we're not experts in the field at all. We're not child psychologists. We're just Mike and Martina and daughter Valentine, who's our oldest child. And she's here to join us to discuss parenting from a child's perspective. And so I will begin by giving a Bible verse from Proverbs chapter 13 verse 24 that says, "He who spares the rod hates his son, but he who loves him is diligent to discipline him." Now the rod, that sounds scary, but the rod was used by shepherds to guide their sheep and protect them, and so that's what that's all about. So you definitely don't want to use the rod to hit the sheep or hit a child. That's not what that's talking about at all. Discipline in love and gentleness. And we're going to have probably Valentine or Mike come in now and say something about that.
Well, I do have another passage because I'm not a parent yet. I'm not married, so I can only speak, like they said, from a daughter's perspective. This is from Colossians chapter 3, verse 20 and 21. "Children, obey your parents in all things, for this is well-pleasing to the Lord. Fathers, do not provoke your children, lest they become discouraged." Now, as I am still under my parents' household, even though we are not in an actual house, I'm still under their authority until I move out or until marriage. So I am obligated to obey and to honor. Now, once a child moves out or gets married, they're no longer obligated to obey, but they are still commanded by God to honor. And that's just how order works according to the Lord. God is a very orderly God. Everything has its authority. Like the man is over the woman, and the man overall is over his whole household, including the children. I mean, even Jesus submitted to his own father, and Jesus was still God. And fathers, don't provoke your children. It's not just for fathers, that goes for mothers too. I mean, fathers was mentioned first because, like I said, they are over the whole household. But mothers are also in charge of nurturing the children. Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, looked like you wanted to say something.
Well, if I could go back to the first thing we talked about, is to, and it kind of goes in with this, is to, there's a trend also among, parents and stuff, is to not discipline at all. That goes in the opposite direction. Just let the kids do what they want to. I'm reminded of a Little House on the Prairie episode. I don't know if y'all listen to Little House on the Prairie, but there is a family, and they're kind of well-to-do, but the mother kind of runs the household, and she lets the kids do whatever she wants, and the worst thing that they could ever hear is the parents to say, "No, don't do that," or "No, don't do that." It's like you're going to stifle their creativity. And so some parents just do that, but that goes against the Proverbs passage that Martina just read, that we're supposed to discipline them out of love, and correct them when they start straying off into where they're not supposed to go. So if it's kind of like, if we don't love them, let them do what they want. But if we love them, correct them and kind of direct them in the path that they should go.
Definitely, yes. And then again, don't do it in anger. The key is, as parents, when your children begin to misbehave the first time and you've already told them what not to do, and then they do it, you can give them like warnings or that sort of thing, and just say, okay, you've said that once, now don't say it again, and then they do it again or say it again. Don't wait until the umpteenth time that they've done it to discipline them, because we're, as parents, we're only humans, and we're going to probably get a little agitated and angry. So you don't want to wait until you get to that point when you're boiling mad. Do it, I'd say, maybe right you've given them 2 warnings, maybe by the 3rd time, then it's, okay, I'm going to have to pull you over. We're going to have to talk about what you're doing is wrong, firmly, but with love, and that way it doesn't get out of hand. You don't want to get to that point where it's out of hand, because then as a parent, we can easily do it in anger, and that's not a good thing. So, yeah, definitely that.
And to provoke someone, provoke in Greek is arethizo. I'm saying that completely off, but it means to stir up, excite, stimulate, to provoke, to stimulate, especially to anger. You're exciting the child, and if you raise your voice, they're only going to raise their voice too, and that goes completely against Scripture. Don't do that. Try to speak in a level voice.
Yeah.
Well, I know some kids love to do that, though. They love to try to get you angry. They love to try to see how far they can push you.
Right.
What she just read is kind of like the old saying, stir the pot. Try to get the pot going, stir it, agitate it, get everybody excited. And you get mommy angry. Let's see what I can make mommy do. Mommy goes crazy. If I can just get her mad enough, she'll just she'll put me in her room and leave for the day or something like that. I can get the whole house to myself. Yes. So that's kind of what some kids do. So you got to kind of as Barney Fife says in Andy Griffith's show, sometimes you got to nip it in the bud. So give him 3 chances and then nip it in the bud before he gets out of hand.
Definitely, yeah. And another thing is with each child is different. So each child, I know this seems strange that as a parent you'd want to discipline each child a little differently, but we actually knew some parents, some Christian parents, who they had 4 children, and of course each one was different, and like black and white, day and night, totally different. And they actually said that their oldest, they never had to discipline. They didn't even have to sit them down to discuss, hey, what you're doing is wrong. The child just knew. And I know that seems, like they're perfect, and it seemed like they were perfect, but they said they never had to discipline, never had to talk to them and say, hey, what you're doing is wrong. So that's great if you have a child like that. Wow.
I haven't seen one yet.
I don't think we didn't have that luxury. Not to say that they're all terrible children. They're very well behaved kids now as adults. Of course, every child, especially I know that's a terrible saying, and as Christians, some people don't like to use the term terrible twos. It can be any age, really. In fact, with our son, it happened before. And then with Valentine, I want to say maybe around 3 or 4. That's wrong. I've got it wrong. Okay.
At least 1.5.
1.5. Okay.
Oh, she was a very strong-willed child.
Yes.
She was so strong-willed. She had. After this little story. After she was born, we put her in her crib in our living room, not too far away, so we can hear her, and she was so strong-willed. She wanted to come and see us so badly. She pulled herself out of her crib somehow. I hadn't figured out how, and fell onto the couch, which was right next to it, rolled over onto the floor, and crawled into our bedroom. Scared us half to death. So that's
I do remember that.
So that's how strong-willed some kids are.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
Praise God that couch was there then.
Exactly.
Yes, or you would have hurt yourself.
But look how sweet she is now. Well. So for all of you out there who have strong-willed children, strong-willed young children, there is hope. Look, she's so sweet now. Not to put her on a pedestal or anything, but there is hope. Really, there is. And then our middle child is a daughter, and she, as a child, was very. Her grandparents would say on both sides that she was as tough as a boot. She'd probably be the first female bull rider and that sort of thing. But now she's very quiet, very wears dresses and skirts. So see, that changed too. That was reversed as well. And then our son, well, he was one of those that, and about our son, I just want to go back a little bit. The first year of his life, now this may be we're probably going to get some bad comments here, and so we're expecting this. But what's done is done. We can't go back and redo the past. But we had our son in the bed with us the first year of his life. I forgot why, but we just decided to do that. I know that's extremely dangerous. I mean, we could have easily rolled over and, you know, that'd be that. But I was a light sleeper at the time, so I didn't really sleep well anyway. It seemed like my eyes were, you know, one eye was always open just to keep an eye on them. But then when we had to, you know, after his first year of life, we thought, you know, it's time to move him over into his own crib. So that's what we did, and we had it next to our bed. But he would cry a lot because he was used to being with us all the time, and he was crying so much that I didn't know what to do anymore. I mean, it was getting too much. And so I told some friends in church, and they said, hey, there's a great book out. It was written by a famous actress, famous model. She's had kids and she knows what she's doing. And why don't you go with this method of parenting with your little baby? And that's what we did, and that was not a good thing to do. Don't ever, I mean, I can't tell you what to do, but here's a suggestion. The suggestion is, don't take the advice or suggestions of someone who is completely worldly, number one. It needs to be preferably from a Christian, if you're a Christian, from a Christian standpoint, biblical standpoint. And number two, come to find out she didn't have children until much later after her book was written. So I'm thinking, how would she know how to be a parent unless she first herself was a parent? But basically, she just basically said, if the baby is crying, just let it cry. Cry, 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 even if 30, 40 minutes have gone by. And unfortunately, that's what we did with our son. And to this day, I mean, my husband may disagree, but I actually wonder if that is why our son has clinical depression. Because even when he was younger, he was acting strange. He was like he was autistic, and we did have him tested for that. We had him tested for bipolar, for ADHD, whatever. I don't even know all those, and I'm not making fun of those things. It's just that I've never heard of all those things. ADD, ADHD, whatever they are.
ADHD.
Every mental illness, and I'm not saying that's an illness, but everything mentally speaking, he was tested for at a young age, and it all came out negative. He doesn't have any of those things. Now, he may have a slight autism, the spectrum part of it, right?
Right.
But other than that...
Well, that could be a major one, though. Because, well, I mean, the spectrum one that he has, or suspected one that he has, I mean, we've talked to other people, and it's like, oh, yes, that is exactly what he has. And so, yeah, those are kids who have major, like, OCD things. They OCD on different things. Mm-hmm. You know, like they have their little projects. They focus on it 100%, and they have to do that. So I mean, we went through several things. We went through, you know, birds. We went through what all the other stuff we do. You know, Lego. Gosh, we bought every Lego set that existed.
Yeah. And they're expensive.
Yeah. And
oh, he did menus for a while. He would be obsessed with restaurants, and he'd draw pictures of restaurants, and then he'd make his own menu. Oh, and then he went through that Julia Child, and we're not making fun of him. This is just his little OCD, or part of his spectrum autism that he would do. He was so involved in Julia Child cookbooks. Look her up, you'll know who we're talking about. She taught French cuisine, and he would make almost every single recipe in those 2 big fat books that she produced or wrote. And they were delicious. Oh wow, if you like French food, try Julia Child. But yeah, so he had that obsession. What else, Valentine? Can you think of some other obsessions that he had, or OCD?
The great books, the books that, you know, are like the classics that, like Barnes & Noble, for instance.
Right, he had to have every single one of those books. Well, we've got news for you. He's had to give them away. We've given them to Valentine, some of them, and some to some other people, because now he's out of that stage. He's moved on to the next OCD situation. So, yeah. So, like we said, each child is different, and you're going to have to discipline each child a little bit differently depending on how they are, how they're behaving, and that sort of thing. Yeah. And also, I would like to mention homeschooling. because someone had asked us about that. That's really a choice as a parent. If you'd like to homeschool your children, great. We tried everything. We've had all 3 of our children in different things. We've tried public school, we've had them in homeschool, and with our son, we also had him in a, we had the privilege, because a grandparent was willing to pay the expensive fees to attend private Christian school for 4 years, and that was wonderful for our son. I mean, wow. I thought that was great. That was wonderful. He was a changed little boy. I mean, he went in as, 4th grade and came out in 8th grade graduating, and it was great. And then we put him in public high school after that, and that was a big mistake on our part, I believe. He saw things he wished he didn't see, and actions of people that he wished he didn't see. And it kind of, I don't know how to, I think that he actually told me just recently, he said, I wished you had never put me in that public high school. That just ruined me. So each child is different. We're not saying public high school is a bad thing. If that's all the choices that you have and you have nothing else, you have to work, you can't homeschool, you don't have the money to put your child in a Christian school, we totally understand. We've been there. Sometimes you just have to do what you have to do. But I'm just saying that if you want to homeschool, I felt like that was probably the best thing, right? You enjoyed it, right?
And like I said, I've been off and on. I started off in public school, and then when I was in 3rd grade, I was homeschooled. And then when Isaiah came along, we fell behind because we were taking care of the baby, so I was put into public school again. But it's all okay. God was gracious. And yeah, I would say coming from a homeschool environment, public school was extremely stressful on me. I got very depressed the first year, but it just took time, and it was a smaller school to begin with. The one that Isaiah went to was huge school. Yep. And another thing about that, public schools today, even back in my day, were not always the safest. Make sure that you're asking your kids questions about what's going on. A lot of kids, I'm one of them, I'm not going to go into details, but little kids keep secrets, okay? We don't tell our parents everything, and so we kind of need you to ask certain questions, ask the teachers questions like, hey, have you noticed anything going on? Is my child safe? Don't be afraid to ask. Your child's safety comes first.
Definitely, yes, that's for sure.
No matter what the grade.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I do have another passage to read from Ephesians chapter 6. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment with a promise, that it may be well with you, and you may live long on the earth. And you, fathers, do not provoke your children to wrath, but bring them up in the training and admonition of the Lord. And I thought it interesting that the word training is the same word used in Hebrews chapter 12 for chastening or chastening, corrective discipline. You know how the Lord chastens us, as it says in Hebrews? That's the same word in Ephesians. Fathers are to chasten their children lovingly. And to bring up a child means to nourish a child or to cherish them. You know, God has gifted you these children. Really, they're His, but you are their
caretakers?
Yeah. Or they're shepherds for the time being until they move away, but that doesn't stop you from being a parent.
Right.
And that famous phrase that I think saddens a lot of parents, train up a child in the way he should go, when he is old he will not depart from it.
Yeah.
I've struggled with that too. But to train up a child in the way he should go, when I looked it up, it actually means to show interest in your child's strengths. If they love to play the piano, encourage them in that gift. That's a gift that God's given them. And it also means to look out for the weaknesses. What can we work on? Doesn't mean to be harsh with them just because they can't get something right the first time. Be patient with them.
Yeah.
And a commentator on that verse said, when a child is trained in the proper way, though they may depart for a season, even a very long season, in principle, they will return and not depart from it, by God's grace. So hopefully that's encouraging to you.
Yes.
As Philippians says, Paul said, He will complete His good work in you until the day of Jesus Christ. We don't know the outcome. God's working in each and every one of us. And even though we may just get discouraged, or we see someone making bad choices, it doesn't mean that God has stopped working. He is always working.
Right. Exactly. That's why we have faith that our son is going to come back to us, come back to Christianity, come back to God, and yeah, and not embark on the, I mean, he's planning on embarking on the trip to Southeast Asia and go to India and all those kind of things, but we still have faith.
In the midst of sadness.
Amongst the sadness, yeah, because it is a sad situation, but I can't speak for Valentine, but I think that I know that we have faith that he'll be coming back. It may be years from now, when Mike and I are very, very old. But nevertheless, we have faith, and that and I thought it was kind of neat how one commenter somewhere had said, well, we'll just pray that God will take care of him while he is going to all these places, even though he's not seeking God while he's doing that. He's seeking other ways, forms of happiness or existence or whatever it is that people are doing when they're going to India and all these other places. People usually say, I'm going there to find myself. I've heard of that before. Or just try different religions. That's kind of what he wants to do. And so we're just hoping that he'll find God of the universe. God the Father finds the Lord there. All things are possible with God, right? So yeah, so we have faith in that. So that I guess that goes with that Bible verse: train up the child in the way he should go, because someday he's going to come back. You know, we as parents, I've questioned myself: did I do something wrong? Did I train up my child in the wrong way? Why would he choose, after being grown up in a Christian home, why would he choose purposely to go away from Christianity? I don't understand that. To me, that's mind-boggling, and I'm sure it is to all of us. But we're looking forward to the day that he returns, and that can only be done through God alone. That is nothing that we do or anyone else does. It's going to be God that brings him back to God. Yeah. So, okay. Did we cover everything?
I think that's
it.
So,
yeah.
And don't beat yourself up if you think that you failed your child.
Yeah.
Well, and there aren't any perfect parents out there.
Right.
There's no perfect way to train up your child in the way he should go. Every situation is going to be unique. Every child is not the same. So, don't give up. There's hope out there, and try different things, pray, and read your Bible, and ask Christian parents what they do. But don't try not to be pressured into doing something that is not what you should be doing.
Right. So, yeah. Especially if it's worldly. I mean,
even as Christians, we're not perfect either, and so we may not be we'll be giving advice based on our experiences, which may not match what you're going through, and so you have to come up with your own way of disciplining and training up your kids, and that's kind of how it is. There's no right way to do it.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely.
We hope that this encouraged you. If you have any other questions, my dad recently did a community post where you can leave in comments about any subject that you would like us to cover, and we will pray about it first. Or it might be in a Q&A instead of a full topic. So
yeah,
leave your questions and comments down below or on the community page. And P.S. if you're wondering what these are jackets. My siblings put them up here, and I put them up here just to give them a place to hang. So hope that wasn't too distracting.
Yeah,
this is kind of like our closets.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. And before we end, I would like to mention that this particular topical discussion on parenting, mainly with younger children, but can be for any children, was actually a request from one of our commenters or subscribers. And so we thank you for that. You know who you are. We're not going to mention any names just to, keep things confidential, but we appreciate it. So there now. We already did one request. So keep those requests coming.
Oh, and one more comment before the battery goes off. If you have anything negative to say, even if you're doing it in love, I respectfully ask, please send us an email instead of in the comments.
Yeah.
We've had to delete certain comments, as we mentioned in a previous video. It just goes a lot of back and forth. Christians can disagree, and that's okay, but sometimes it can get out of hand. Please send us an email, and please pray before sending the email too.
Yeah.
just a friendly FYI.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
we don't want to discourage you from coming and questioning with anything that you have. So be sure to hit the like button. That helps us out. And push the notification bell. We've had people say they don't get notified. Just click it on and click it off and see what happens. YouTube can be funny that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we'd appreciate if you subscribe as well.
Definitely.
And we hope that you have a blessed day.
Yes.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.